are going to be recording this presentation today. Are you guys all okay with us recording? Can I get a head nod? Okay, awesome. We want to be able to share this out with people who might not have been able to join us at this time. If you're just joining us, go to joinpd.com and then type in this code. You can just have it open in another window. I will be presenting on screen, so you don't have to. You can pull your screen side by side if you want to, but you can just come back to the Google Meet. I'll be presenting on here, and then when I'm looking for some feedback from you guys, you can hop over to that Join PD tab. It's so fun to see so many of your guys' faces on here. I love that y'all have your cameras on. It makes presenting a lot more fun, for sure, when it feels like a little more personal. All right. Emily, you want to give it 1 minute, you think?
Yeah, one more.
Thanks, guys, for being so patient.
Hey, Jessica, I love this Pear Deck option, so that way the presentation is a lot more interactive.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting to see.
Well, Jenna, you are the Pear Deck master, so I can only hope to live up to all the things.
I don't know about that, but this is nice to see. I like it.
All right, so if you're just joining us, go to joinpd.com. You can open up a new tab on the side and then type in this code, JLESI. The join code is going to be at the top. And Emily, will you watch the chat for me in case anyone comes on a little later and needs some help? And then we can go ahead and get started. So my students won't do the work. Now what? All of you are here for some reason. So we want to see what that reason is. So if you will, please, in the Pear Deck, go ahead and put your name, your campus or role, and then why you came to learn with us today, or what you're hoping to learn. And if you, I think it's JLESI is the code. I am running this Pear Deck from my phone right here so that I can see all of your responses, which is really cool, a really nice tool to use with your students. And a lot of you are using the draw feature, which is great. You can also add in a text box if you want.
And if you're not familiar with Join PD, we will, at the very end of our presentation, we have a list of all of the sessions that we're offering this week. And we do have a Pear Deck training that you are more than welcome to go to. So.
A lot of what I'm seeing in what you're hoping to learn from this is the word engagement is happening a lot. Some kids are getting onto our Google Meets and we're making contact, but then not completing the work. Participation. Taking ownership of doing the distance learning is coming up a lot. Awesome. All right, take about 30 seconds to finish up your ideas. I've got 4 people I'm still waiting on some responses from. And if y'all wouldn't mind just checking your mics, make sure you are on mute. And then if you do have something that you want to add or say, feel free to unmute yourself and just jump in, or you can add it to the chat feature. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for filling that out. Again, I'm Jessica Stubbs. I'm an instructional technology coach for the West Side, and I'm here with Emilee Simmons.
Hey.
And so this idea of this class came to me about a week ago. Once we've gotten into about a month of remote learning, distance learning, what I kept hearing a lot of my teachers say is my students won't do the work. My students won't do the work. They're not doing the work. I'm not getting them to turn anything in. We've been trying this. And I felt that change of excitement and trying something new, like the beginning of the school year, that the feeling that teachers have, to a little bit more of we're out of the honeymoon phase and getting into some frustration. And so we wanted to dive in with some ideas on how to help encourage and support and engage our students when we can't physically be with them. And so we're going to run through some ideas that other teachers in our district are doing right now, because there are some amazing things happening out there that we want to show you is happening, and hopefully inspire and encourage. And then even through this Pear Deck, we're hoping to get some ideas from you guys on things that might work to help our students do the work, to help our students feel loved, and to help us check in with them and support them through this pandemic. Anything you want to add, Emilee?
Nope, I think you're great.
Okay. All right. So Emilee and I sat down and thought about what are the key things that could be happening, or what could we do to help our students do the work. So we thought the first thing is relationships. We really need to build that trust, and we need to give grace. That is the number one thing. And our teachers, you guys know that. We know that we're teachers at heart. It's been like the basis of teaching is relationships. We hear it over and over, but we want to talk about what that might look like in remote learning. The second thing is organization and structure, and what that looks like when you don't have a classroom to organize, but rather you have a digital platform to organize, and what are some resources to help you. And then the last one is instruction. What does instruction look like? What are some ways that we can engage our students in distance learning? So we're going to jump right in to relationships. And what do relationships look like in remote learning?
Yeah, so over the past few years, I know Dr. V has really focused on our why. And for me, my why always came from my 5th grade teacher, Nicole Francis. She's actually back in the district. She left a little bit, and now she's back. So anytime that I see teachers and when I was a teacher, my goal was to build my relationships with those students and give them that hope, and give them just the love that they may or may not have felt, or just an escape away from their everyday life. So one of the big things when we started sitting down and planning this was, I told Jessica, like, our number one thing has to be relationships. The teachers that I see that aren't having problems with their kids coming to class or wanting to do things, or are the ones that they're going out of their way to make that contact. So these are a few teachers, and you probably have seen, I know Miss Hurtado was like on Good Morning America for what she did, but and then Miss Jackson was on the Dallas Morning News, or in the Dallas Morning News as well. But they just took little moments out of their day and reached out and made sure that they were making contact with all of their students. Miss Veach actually did like a cookie decorating bag and took them to their house and reached out and made contact then. So I know all of our examples are elementary, but high school at West, one of my schools, they made it a point for one teacher to reach out to every student in the class, in the school. And if they couldn't get a hold of it, then they reached out to other teachers and they're like, hey, I can't get a hold of Jack. Who's Jack's best friend? Oh, Jack's best friend's Christian and he's in my 2A class. So let me reach out to him and see if I can get a number that works for him. And they really went out of their way to make sure that they were contacting every student in the school through emails, phone calls, letters, whatever it took. I know some of our teachers are actually going to do home visits for the last 32 kids this week that they can't get a hold of. So really important to make sure that our kids are on the bus and that they may not have gotten emails or text messages or whatever that we've done. But, what are we doing to take that next step to make sure that we are reaching them?
So, and that first step, that making contact step, we know that you guys are working on that and there's systems put into place on the campus level. So after that, once we make that initial contact, we have to build trust with our kids. Because remember, they are going through a lot right now. Their families are going through a lot right now. They don't have the chance to just, some of them, be a kid. Right now, they've got other obligations that they are having to do. A lot of our students are taking care of younger siblings. They're taking care of the chores around the house. They are taking care of a whole life for their family. And so they don't get the time. They might only get an hour a day to look at something that they have, and then they have to pick and choose what class or what they're going to do. So with building trust, that first one is having empathy for our students. I put a little picture of here. This is a 2nd grade Google Meet that one of my teachers just had the other day. And the entire purpose of the Google Meet was just to get the kids together. They were so excited to talk to each other because at 2nd grade, they don't have all the different social media platforms to talk to each other. So they just wanted to say hi and show each other their rooms. And then one of the 2nd graders started doing a makeup tutorial in the middle of the Google Meet. And I love that the teacher just let it happen. Like, she just let them be kids for a little bit because they really needed that for their mental health. And through that, she was able to build trust with these kids. So the next time she needs to ask them to go watch a 90-second video, they're going to be a lot more engaged in doing that because she started to build that trust and she recognizes where they are and who they're with.
Yeah, another thing that we did at Fraser was we've really focused on just giving grace to our students. Like she said, we have, I know, like the West Side, we have, and across Mesquite, I don't want to just talk about the West Side, but like we have students that have 5, 6 different siblings and maybe oldest sibling sick. And so what is that going to look like? And now I'm having to cook and clean and do all the things because mom and dad have to go to work during the day. And so we wanted to focus on just giving grace and looking for the small accomplishments. And I know all year long, when we're in school, we get those bad numbers through Skyward or the emails that mom doesn't check, or maybe it's the old work email and they've changed jobs. And so what we did at Fraser is we just asked them for a free 100, jump online and make sure that we can contact you if we need to. Make sure and have your parent verify that all your info is correct on Skyward, and then we'll give you that free 100. Not only did that get them online and tell us that they're on our classrooms or our Google Docs or however we're getting our information to them, that we're also just being able to contact them. And then as Ms. Feinglass just said, it's also about the wording. So when we do call students, it's not, why are you not doing the work? It's, hey, are you okay? Because this isn't like you. An example of a student at Fraser's, we had an AP student who found her dad suffering from a drug overdose. And so when we call because she's not doing her work and then we figure that out, yeah, we have to give her a lot of grace for that because she's dealing with stuff that she's not typically dealing with when she's at school every day. So we've really focused on giving grace. And then the last one is giving time. So giving those catch-up days. And this week at West, we're giving them a whole week. It's the last week of the 6 weeks. Most of the teachers had their grades already. And so they had a free week to catch up, all the students. They didn't get any new assignments this week. And then I know there's some teachers that just aren't assigning work on Fridays, and that's their catch-up day. is, hey, if you do all your work by Thursday, you have a 3-day weekend. And if not, hey, we're going to give you that grace and give you that time. So, and
yeah,
then
I know, like a lot of our kids are just now getting devices. Like we've been handing them out for a while, but we still have families going and getting devices. That means that they have an entire month that they're going to have to go back through and try to sort through and organize. So like helping your students by just saying, you've got all the time that you need. Like you have the time, and then helping them prioritize. And we're going to talk more about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what the Bitmoji down at the bottom, that was one of my teachers as well. That was like, hey, okay, so what? You're 4 weeks late because we just made contact with you. So you finally have a Chromebook, or you're finally getting internet, or who knows, maybe you've gone through this massive thing and you're just trying to figure out a schedule. Don't worry, just join me in my office hours and I'll catch you all up and we'll figure it out. I'll tell you everything you need to know, but I just want to see your face. And so, yeah, we're just giving them that time.
Yeah. So we want to hear from you guys. We want to know what you guys have been doing to build relationships and to foster that community. So if you'll hop on to that joinpd.com, if you've got it open, I want to hear from you guys so that we can get some ideas and we can share them out. I see a lot of people are holding Google Meets, and isn't it just so nice to see faces? I miss it so much, so it's nice. And some of you, if you have not yet gotten that Google Chrome extension for this grid view, is awesome, so that you can see a ton more faces. Oh, Rebecca, I love that you've been writing each of your students a card and sending it to them. That's so awesome. And I love that all of you are a lot of you are saying you're just having Google Meet sessions to just be social and just talk to kids, calling students and asking about how they are. Oh, I love Sergio says that at the beginning of his Google Meets, they play fun music just to set the mood and the tone, and that's super fun. I love that. People are doing icebreakers. I've seen a lot of that too on Google Meets. Before you even start anything to do with content, you just play a little game of some sort. A lot of you are using Google Voice to contact, note cards, Google Meets. This is awesome. All right, I'm going to give you about 20 more seconds. Susan has her students send pictures of what the kids are doing at home.
Oh, that's fun.
That's fun. Having the kids send them selfies. That's cute. They have a fun night and they play games. And this teacher delivered Easter eggs to the houses. That's so cool. I love that. You guys are doing awesome things to build relationships with your students. Keep doing those things. Keep building those relationships. Keep giving grace, having empathy, building that trust. And keep encouraging each other to do it too, right? It's just like through the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, we always reach out, we make contact, we try to build that trust and relationships, and then we get into the content, and sometimes we forget about those relationships. So keep being very intentional about fostering those relationships. All right, we're going to move on to our next thing, and we're going to talk about organization and structure. So here are some examples of ways that I know that all of you, we've got 72 different people in here right now who probably all have a little bit different of a system. And I'm not asking anyone to change their system, because whatever is working for you, that's great. And we need to be consistent. But if you're struggling to find a way to organize, or if you're looking for a way to help your students more easily find the assignments, here are some ideas that we have for you. And in the Pear Deck, I believe all of these links are active, so you can click on them. But I wanted to show on the left-hand side is an example from my 6th grade social studies teacher at AC New. And what he does is every week he posts a link to, or a Google slide that says exactly what the students need to be able to do and all the resources for it on that Google slide. So it's just one image that has the entire week laid out. And he doesn't care if students complete it Monday and then Tuesday and Wednesday, but he just has it broken out for them so they could visually see. And the other thing that I love that he does is for things that they need to turn in through Google Classroom, he directly links it to that Google slide deck. So when they click on it, it opens up Google Classroom for them to complete that assignment. And there's a little visual right there of how you can do that. Another one of my teachers uses the agenda template there where there's a video instruction and there are an image and there's typed out instructions so that the kids know exactly what they need to do for that day or for that assignment. And then I know a lot of you are using Google Classroom, and we love Google Classroom. But Google Classroom also becomes very overwhelming, especially because we're doing everything in Google Classroom. So try to think about some ways that you can organize your Google Classroom so that it's easy for students to access and find. I know that there are things where you can post a material versus an assignment. And before, when I was in the classroom, I know I just put everything in Google Classroom and it didn't matter if it was an assignment or a material because I could verbally tell my students what they needed to complete and what they didn't. But now I can't do that. Now I'm not with them all the time. And especially for our secondary teachers, these kids have 7 classes that they're trying to figure out what the heck they need to do all day long. So it's making it as simple as possible. If you haven't checked out the topic sections in Google Classroom to organize your information, definitely check that out under the classwork tab because that can be super helpful. And we've got a little video there that you can click on and watch on how to organize that in Google Classroom. And I don't want to go way into this because I know that all of you are using different platforms, but I do want to make sure we talk about giving video instructions and being extremely clear with your students on exactly what you expect from them. So I love that this teacher, this is Lauren Clonch at AC New, she went through and she walked the kids through the assignment. You're going to click here, you're going to do this, you're going to click here, and you're going to do this, and that's what the assignment is for the day. It is super helpful, and it can be short. Like I'm talking no more than 90 seconds to explain to the kids exactly what you're looking for from them. I know that there are some other teachers who take those 90 seconds to talk through the entire week. Hey, this week you're going to have to do this, and here's what it looks like. Here's about how much time it's going to take you. If it's taking more than this amount of time, you're doing too much. And here are the resources that you might need. Because our students are so used to sitting in a classroom and being told exactly what to do. And the moment they get off task, you're there coaching them through it. And now they don't have you. And so we've got to figure out some ways that they can still feel a connection with you virtually. I wanted to also show one more. So this is Brittany Miller at AC New, and she typed out the exact assignment and then puts a video of the assignment instructions right there. And you guys have access to this now. So if you want to figure out how this might look in your class, she does this in Google Classroom as well. But it's just a laid out instruction of what is expected from her kids for the week. I do want to share this video. It's about a minute, and I really hope that it works. I know on Pear Deck you can click play. Please don't click it on there. I'm going to try to click it on my screen. Emily, will you let me know if it doesn't work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is how Brittany Miller has been using her Google Meets to just help kids organize and prioritize the work. Nothing to do with content, all to do with organization. All right. Can you guys see the video, Emily?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Distance learning has created its own set of challenges for me. I've noticed that some of my kids just want to continue to work. I reached out to a few of them to investigate this further, and one student just responded that she's so overwhelmed she doesn't even know where to get started. I decided to virtually meet with her to maybe kind of help her create a solution for this situation. Within the first 5 or 10 minutes, I could see how overwhelmed she was. So I just walked her through how to make a simple to-do list. I showed her my own, and then we discussed different ways to prioritize tasks. This conversation really was not curriculum-based. We didn't talk about my work or how to do it. We really just sat and had a conversation about ways to ease her anxiety and help her feel less overwhelmed each day. This to-do list task was something that really helped her take ownership of her work in this new distance learning environment that we've created.
So I want us to think about the fact that we are all grown adults right now. And I don't know about you, but I find myself struggling some days to get into a routine and to complete the things that I'm supposed to do. And so imagine our kids who have all these other priorities trying to organize and figure out what they need to do. So think about some ways that you could help your students and coach them through how to organize the work. I just want to do a little stress check with y'all right now. Where do you fall with this organization and structure piece of distance learning? You can take the bar and move it. And it's fun. I think you guys can all see now where we're lying. Can y'all see my screen? Can you see what other people are saying now? The purple? No? Emily? Maybe not.
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know why my screen is not pulling up, but a lot of purple over a lot of green is showing up, so that's great. We've got a couple people here in the orange. And so this is also a great thing that you can do with your students to just check out how they're feeling when you're in a Google Meet. And then I know I need to check in with a couple of y'all later to see what your stress level is looking like and how I can help you organize and structure your classes. Emily, will you talk about this consistency piece?
Yeah, so.
And is my screen showing up to everyone now?
Yeah, it's working.
Perfect.
Yeah, so one of the bigger things that we talked about yesterday and throughout the time that we were planning it was consistency. And it kind of goes back to Google Classroom or however you're choosing to give work to your students, but just making sure that it stays the same way every time. And not just for the students, because the students know you and they can go with the flow and sometimes read your mind. But for the parents that are trying to help them, it's really hard if it's changing every single week. So, but at the same time, if you figure out something that's just not working or you think it's going to work better for your students if you do it this way, change it, just explain it. So tell your kids, hey, I know that we've been doing this and you found it here for the last 4 weeks, but it's not really working anymore. So let's change it and try it this way. And then yesterday I was reading through the New York Times and they had like interviews from students. And this was a student out of Manhattan, but she talked about how she loved the video morning meetings every day because it still made her feel like she was at school. But her sister won't leave her alone, so she let her join. And that's great. That's fine. So most of the time, my 2.5-year-old's like crawling all over me. And it goes back to giving that grace and knowing that we're dealing with stuff that we've never dealt with before. And so how do we change that? How do we deal with that?
Mm-hmm. So we like buzz through organization and structure. We offer a lot more classes on this specific topic. There are some more of these sessions this week. In fact, I think there's a session at 3 o'clock today about like using classroom websites and Google Classroom to engage students in distance learning. So definitely check out those classes if this is something that you want to dive deeper into. I just can't reiterate enough how important those small video instructions can be for your students, but also, guys, your parents. And when we're talking about all these, we're also talking about building trust with your parents. Like, they're having to learn school all over again too. So think about some ways that you can help them as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I told you that the other day. I was a math major in college, but if you set me down in a junior or senior level math class right now and told me I had to teach it to somebody, I'd be like, probably not. So, yeah, giving them, like, the parents did go to school, but they went to school years and years and years ago. And so even if you have to have mini lessons and offer those for your parents as well, then I would suggest doing that as well.
All right, we're going to move into our last thing we want to talk about, which is huge. It's a huge idea. It's instruction, which is what we do all the time. We instruct. But now thinking about it in a digital world during the middle of a pandemic. I saw someone say, like, we're not doing online school right now. Like, that isn't what we're doing. We're doing digital learning in a pandemic, which is different. And our kids are being asked to do a lot of different things at the same time as trying to do this remote learning. And here's the big thing, guys. You are competing with TikTok. You're competing with Fortnite. You're competing with kids on YouTube, with kids having broke devices. You're competing with food, kids snacking and wanting to go there, and kids having to take chores. And even some of our students are having to earn money right now. So when you're thinking about designing lessons and doing instruction, remember all of these things that you're competing with. I know our boss, Kara, said that in the mornings when she's at work, her kids are on Minecraft. And that's just what it is. And they play Minecraft or do whatever they can do until she gets off around 5 and start the learning with them. So you've got to remember that a lot of our students aren't being supervised, or they don't have someone at home. And they've got all of these other distractions. We have some amazing students out there who are still motivated to want to get the work done. But then some students who aren't motivated, and when they have all these distractions, it's just not going to be a priority. So when you're designing lessons, have that in mind. What is going to encourage your student besides grades? Because we know that grades are not motivating to a lot of our students. So what would be motivating to them, and how can we design quality lessons that allow our students to push these distractions back and try to complete some of the work? So Emily and I tried to think of 6 different things that might help provide some sort of success. So the first thing, and we've been told this over and over again, focus on those big ideas. What is that one thing, that one teak, that if they could know this, that next year it would be so much easier for them? This one little thing, or something that maybe even, this big teak, they can feel success with this teak. Maybe it's main idea that you guys have been covering over and over and over again, and they could feel successful if they had a short mini lesson on main idea and could talk about it. The second thing is it needs to be novel. Our kids have been out of school for over a month now, and we talk about the summer slide where our students don't remember anything. They really probably don't remember anything that you've been doing, and we need to assume that they don't remember anything you've talked about in class. I know I've got a couple teachers who will post a graphic organizer, which is a great resource, but those kids probably don't remember what that graphic organizer is or how it relates to what they're doing. So we just need to assume that this is brand new to our students and to our parents. So when we're designing these lessons, how can we create this instruction piece with this brand new learning over this big idea teak? We always want to provide an exemplar for our students. What do you expect from them? What do you want this to look like? How could we model for our kids what we want them to accomplish? And then a teach piece. I think that at the beginning we were so eager to assign that we forgot that instruction. Like we need to teach our students how to do the assignment, or teach them new information, or teach them the teak, or review it. But when we're doing that teaching, we need it to be short, because remember all those things that we're competing with. So what's a 2 to 3 minute instruction piece that you could give your students? And I know there's been a lot of great teachers going out there finding videos on YouTube to share with their students, but guys, they miss seeing your face and they miss you, and the learning is going to happen, but the engagement is going to be there, which a lot of you are saying you're looking for, if you can teach that lesson in 2 to 3 minutes so that they can see your face and hear it the way that you were saying it in the classroom. So think about how could you create a 2 to 3 minute video and give them instructions that way. Giving students choice is really important. I know that we've got families sharing devices where you've got five or six kids sharing one Chromebook. And so asking them to do all their assignments online is difficult. So think about some ways that you could provide an offline activity that they could even then take a picture of and share it with you. So online or offline. And then giving authentic personal feedback. When they do the work, how are they getting feedback on that work? How do they know that they've done a good job? They crave that feedback. They crave that attention from you. So how can you give them that feedback? Or how could you get their peers to give them feedback? That was a lot. That was a lot.
It's a lot, but it's really no different than what we do in the classroom day to day. If you look back at how we teach, I can say as a teacher, I did the same thing. I would introduce my TEKs. I would assume that they never did it before. Then I would model it for them, give them that instruction, and then go around and give everybody authentic feedback. So it sounds like this big idea, but it's no different than what we did day to day in the classroom anyways. It's just now digitally.
Yeah, and you guys are great at doing this. You're great at doing this. Mm-hmm. So use those skills that you have and let's just transfer it to remote learning. So I wanted to share what a 4th grade team was doing at Smith. And they're providing this online, offline choice of creating and designing a playground. And so you guys have access to that now. You can click on that link and look at it. But I just love they use Google Drawings and they could make it, but they could also just draw it and take a picture of it. And I loved having that option that they can do something on paper and pencil somewhere else, maybe get rid of some of that screen time because we know our kids are on the screen all the time. So what are some things that we could do to help support that? And then with feedback, there are all sorts of ways to give feedback. And we have a bunch more classes on feedback, but I did want to just give you 3 different options. If you have not been on the new Padlet in a while, check it out because Padlet allows your students to record videos on there, for you to record videos. There's a digital whiteboard. There are all sorts of things. The kids have choice in how they show their work. They could take a picture and post it. They can take a audio clip so they don't have to show their face. Padlet has awesome tools on there. And then the way that you can give feedback on there is really, really cool because you can respond to the students on there and other students can see what you responded to students. And so that's creating that authentic audience that they would have had in the classroom, but they don't on a digital platform. And then also Flipgrid and the Google tools. I've linked some resources on there. Check them out. There's a lot of great tutorials about those resources. Okay, that was a lot. And I know that we are covering all these different ideas. So we are providing classes every day on instruction. So if you check out this link, it's clickable. Here are all of our course offerings that we have for the week. We're providing new courses every week. We're diving into creativity. We're diving into feedback. We're diving into choice and all of those ideas throughout this week. But we also record our sessions. So right now we're recording this session so that other people can view it. We've recorded old sessions and we've got them all on our YouTube channel as well. So if you're looking at, oh, I really want to provide video instructions now, you can go watch our session on recording videos whenever you want. And you can fast forward through the parts that you aren't interested in and just watch the parts that you are interested in. We've got a session on Pear Deck on here that you could go through and watch if you're looking at wanting to do this during your Google Meet. And then there's also a video on the templates and how to create one of those templates for your class. You want to add anything, Emily, to that?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I do want to get a little bit more feedback from y'all. So this slide is drawable, or you can put text in there. And I want to know your thoughts from today.
How to do this.
All right, and as you continue to fill this out, it's just a great way to get feedback. Like I said, I do love this chat feature in Google Meets. It's great, it's awesome, but sometimes I feel like I find more authentic feedback when I get it on my phone so that everyone can see. I think that people are a little bit more willing to share some of their challenges or their fears when it's more private than when it's on the chat feature. So this is a great thing to do with your students if you're looking at or wanting them to share with you some of those stresses in your life or in their life in a big group setting like this. So then you can go back and check in with them. Yeah. A couple of you are saying that you're going to really start being more intentional with those relationships. A couple of you said you're going to start writing cards. That's so awesome. You guys are really awesome and sharing a lot about showing grace to your students. And that's awesome. And it can be challenging sometimes because we're also out there trying to make sure that the kids are getting the concepts and we're doing our job. So showing those grace moments are so important. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, if you want to finish up typing those, Emily and I are so glad that you joined us today. We were so happy to see so many faces and get all those ideas that you shared with us on things that you've tried or you are working on. It's been really awesome to share the last 45 minutes with y'all.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much for coming. And please let us know if we can help y'all in any way.
You can reach out to your instructional technology coach at any time. They're happy to help you. Lean on those support systems. We also have live office hours at 9 and 1 every day if you are looking to do something more specific. But thank y'all for coming. If you have any other questions, you can certainly stick back and Emily and I will be here to answer any of those. Thank you guys so much.